All right. What is going on, everybody? What is going on? The catch. Fam, I hope you guys are doing great tonight. Hope everybody has had a fantastic Monday. I hope you guys are ready for a live 2025 fantasy football draft here at the catch. League number one, long awaited draft of the off season, our longest standing league in the catch community drafting tonight. It's going to be a good one. It's a keeper league. You guys see all the keepers on the screen except for Jordan Mason hanging down there as well. But full PPR, 12 team format. Let's go. I'm super excited for this one. We're going to hang out. We're going to have some fun. We're going to talk some fantasy football, go through some fantasy Q&A, anything that you guys need. Start sit questions for week one, roster reviews, whatever it may be. Who's out there on the waiver wire? We are basically in week one, boys and girls. So we're going to sit back. We're going to roll through tonight's draft. We're going to talk some fantasy football, have some fun. So get in the live chat. Let me know how you guys are doing, and let's get it going. It's going to be a great draft tonight. So without further ado, it is 9 o'clock. I'm going to send out a very quick reminder on Discord. I mean, it's just Steven who's waiting for this first pick. So, I don't think anyone really cares. Just kidding, Steven. But let's go. Final warnings are out. We put out enough throughout the day. Everybody's here. Live, and wow, that was fast. That was the quickest Bijan Robinson pick I've ever seen. Tough pick for me here. I guess in theory I could try to go double RB, hero double RB right here. Go Jahmyr Gibbs if I wanted to. I think the right pick here though is to go wide receiver. Already having Barkley there at the 211. So I'm going to go CeeDee Lamb here. Not going to waste a lot of time, but I think JJ's still perfectly fine there. I don't think I have Lamb in any league so far yet, so I'll roll with CeeDee Lamb. But I also do kind of like the idea of potentially going Jahmyr Gibbs right there. I think that would have been fun as well. So Gibbs gone at the 1-3. We have some really good keepers in this league. Steven has JD5 in the 11th. I just rolled with Barkley at the 211. If I had a later pick, I still think that would have been fine, but I liked kind of keeping Barkley as a late second round value. Roma Dunze, Jerry's keeper in the 7th. JSN, Chase's keeper in the 7th as well. Spencer keeping Jamar Chase at the 1-5. Nothing wrong with that. Katz keeping Burrow in the 10th. Michael keeping Lad McConkey in the 8th. Shane keeping B. Tom in the 8th as well. Senior Cinnabon keeping Nico at the second round. Not exactly the turn, but close to the turn at the 2-4. Made for TV. Didn't really have a lot of good options, but kept Jordan Mason 13th, which is still not a bad keeper, I suppose. And J-Dubs, Chase Brown in the 9th. Andrea Brock Bowers in the 7th. So it's a tough draft board tonight, boys and girls. All right. We have a couple things to go over. I'll let the first round or so kind of play out here before we start reacting too much to the draft and everything. But just a weird day for football news. A lot of cuts are happening. Final roster decisions, all that stuff starting to come into play. Kenny Pickett sent to the Raiders for a 5th round pick. So, the Browns kind of recompensate some of their own trade value back from trading for Kenny Pickett and then drafting 2 rookie quarterbacks. But, Aiden O'Connell is dealing with an injury that's going to keep him off the field for quite a few weeks. And they had expressed that they're looking for another quarterback. Kenny Pickett on the Raiders, not a big fantasy impact there, but the bigger fantasy impact when it comes to the Raiders, right, is we have the news of Jacoby Myers requesting a trade, had met, with the team brass and everything, was not able to work out an extension and has since requested a trade. And I do think that this is big for fantasy at the end of the day. If Jacoby Myers does get traded, I mean, obviously there's going to be a little bit of a whirlwind. Like, don't get me wrong, I have been a Jacoby Myers fan all off season long. Um, and I do think that Jacoby Myers can easily produce on a different team, but I don't know exactly like where he could land, where he would have the same perceived production as the Raiders, So I do think that it will have an impact. And I mean, we don't even know if he's actually going to get traded at this point or not, but we'll have to kind of sit back and see what happens. I don't know because like I mean, basically look at his salary, right? He's basically being paid like a wide receiver three, and he is, the clear cut wide receiver one on his team. And he's not even in that level like a Garrett Wilson or Terry McLaurin, who we'll talk about today, or excuse me, in a few minutes. Um, but I mean, I don't think it's crazy to want it. It's kind of like Jawan Jennings wanting an extension. You know what I mean? So they haven't been able to come to a deal. We'll see if something happens or not. But if Jacoby Myers is traded, that's going to open up things in large fashion for, I mean, obviously Brock Bowers stock. I don't know that Brock Bowers stock could be any higher. You know what I mean? But it would be higher, right? I mean, the volume for Bowers should increase, but also you got to look at guys like Donta Thornton, who's already, I mean, like Donta Thornton is starting to get drafted a lot more in redraft formats. In Underdog, his ADP is like absolutely skyrocketed. I mean, he scored a touchdown in that last preseason game, and we've been talking about Donta Thornton here on the channel for like weeks and weeks, right? Um, so Donta Thornton is a player who could, of course, be walking into a lot more production. Now, obviously, the Raiders went out and signed Amari Cooper today as well, which kind of makes you feel like maybe that this is something that's going to come to reality in terms of Jacoby Myers departing from the Raiders, but we'll find out. I mean, also like, well, I like Donta Thornton. I think Trey Tucker has a role here, and Jacoby Myers is there. Brock Bowers is still there. They're going to implement the run game more this year with Genty. Like, it's not like the Raiders weren't already in a position where adding Amari Cooper wouldn't necessarily benefit them. You know what I mean? So, um, ultimately, I think that there is a world where maybe Amari Cooper is just an added depth piece. But at the end of the day, even if Jacoby Myers is traded, Cooper is there. The player with the upside for me is easily still Donta Thornton. So he's a name to keep an eye on. And then I would be keeping an eye, I guess, on Cooper and Trey Tucker. But like, I know Amari Cooper was picked up in a lot of leagues today. I don't know. I just feel like Amari Cooper ended last year on such a sour note that I'm not like ultimately super bullish on him in fantasy right now. So I think that's where I'm kind of at with that whole ordeal. Let me make this draft pick. This is a tough pick here. Running backs basically wiped out. I mean, there's still running back names that I like right here, but I think thinking about going a little bit different in this league, just for the fun of it, just to see what happens. I think I'm gonna do it. I think I'm gonna throw you guys a big curveball, and I might regret it. I might. But I'm gonna take a quarterback. I'm gonna go Josh Allen here. I didn't even realize Lamar Jackson was gone when I did that. But I'm gonna take a QB here because I never do this. Get a solid QB one, solid RB one, solid wide receiver one, and we'll build from here on out. Just shake it up a little. It's League One, you know? All right, so Terry McLaurin gets his extension. Okay, 3-year extension. I think, if I'm not mistaken, he's the 6th highest paid wide receiver in the league. I think he might be 4th highest in guarantees. But it's a perfectly fine deal. And like everyone, there's a lot of people who are going to say like Terry McLaurin's got overpaid or whatever. But like anytime a player gets extended in today's NFL, they are like quote unquote overpaid. You know what I mean? Because the market is always constantly resetting itself. So kind of a situation where Washington, no matter what they did, they weren't going to win. If they don't re-sign Terry, if they trade him, then it's an awful look for like the organization and Jaden Daniels and his young career, whatever. If they do sign him, then they have to sign him to a pretty substantial deal. Obviously, that's all Terry was going to play on, right? So no matter how you look at this, people are going to like look at it as a loss for Washington. But my viewpoint all offseason long was that this deal between the Commanders and Terry McLaurin was going to get done, and it did indeed get done. So my viewpoint for the past couple weeks, and you guys have heard me say it a lot on the channel, was take the discount on Terry McLaurin in your drafts when it's there, no matter what. And we even talked a little bit last night, like maybe this is starting to get to a point where you get a little bit worried. You think about like a Brandon Ayuk situation last year, but um, regardless, like I think in last night's draft, he went in the 5th round. Yeah, I mean, it's just one of those things where you will always in the off season see very solid falls in drafts due to off-season situations. And the Terry McLaurin one, I think, was one of the biggest wins of the off-season so far. We'll find out. All right, let's see what's going on. Chase Brown, hello, hello. Good luck to everybody in tonight's draft. We're rolling through this draft already in the 4th round. Spencer celebrating 36 months of membership. Let's go. Guess who's back? Back again. Spin is back. Tell a friend. 3 months. Thank you for the continued support on the channel, Spence. You are the man. It's been a long time, and Spence, a long time. One of the first ever subscribers to the channel. And I mean, just about everybody in this league, are all first-time subscribers or just long-term true supporters of the community. So I appreciate you guys. And Spencer. What's up, Stover? Yeah, Cats selling Burrow right after the draft. What's going on, Chase? Yeah, you should be stoked you got Terry in the 5th. Let's go. Cinnabon, thank you for working on that. No rush at all. I know that it was something that got taken off of Discord after things got shaken up, but I just wondering if there's a way we could re-implement it. So no rush. Thank you for working on it. And good luck in the draft. What's up, Andrea? All right, Terry, best ad half PPR. Spears, Cooper, Tootin, Sampson. You got Daniels, Neighbors, Nico, Bucky, Hampton, Andrews, Evans, Henderson. Pretty good team. Purdy, Jennings, Ford, Tracy, JCM, Kraft, Najee. You're starting to, double flex format. I mean, I will say Tajay Spears or Dylan Sampson. I like Dylan Sampson a lot right now. And ultimately, I think he could end up having a big week 1. It's one of these situations where we just don't know what's going on with Christian Junkins. And right now, the NFL doing their own investigation might be what leads to when Junkins can play. And we just don't know how long this is going to play out. So we're really potentially looking at Jerome Ford, Dylan Sampson being the split week 1. They're playing Cincinnati, who, while this defense was awful last year, their strongest component was against, at least in fantasy points allowed, against the running back position. But I think that Dylan Sampson has more likelihood to come in and have the potential to play as this kind of pass catching type back. So I think ultimately we could see a lot of that in week 1, especially if and when Cincinnati is theoretically getting up on the Browns in this game in terms of points scored. I think Dylan Sampson could come in and just get a lot of dump offs situation kind of like that. So I would go Dylan Sampson because I think that the potential for him to come out and actually have fantasy relevancy in terms of his role is most likely. But I do like Tajay Spears still. I think he's just been kind of exiled from fantasy drafts because at the end of the day, he's hurt. you know, I it's tough with Tajay Spears because I still think it's Tony Pollard's backfield, like no matter what at the end of the day. Um, but I think he's an okay ad. I'm not. Once again, I'm not gonna like overreact here to the Amari Cooper stuff. I think it's perfectly fine, but I don't really feel like it's anything that I need to like go out and make any crazy moves based on. All right, tough pick here. Tough draft. It really is. The Josh Allen pick kind of messing up my typical strat here. But I just wanted to take some Josh Allen. There's literally, I mean, like there are some players I really like right here. Really, really like. But I'm gonna go Swift. I feel like running backs are getting absolutely annihilated in this draft. So I'll go Swift as my RB2. I'm putting a lot of faith in CeeDee Lamb right now. Steven has a pretty good start here. And I don't think Steven's listening to the stream, but I think if Steven goes double wide receiver right here, his start already having Jaden Daniels as a keeper is going to be quite good and pretty annoying. Devonta Smith is a great, yeah. Like I think Steven's start is ridiculously good, so I'm not happy about that. All right, there are a couple players I really like right here. Like that was tough for me because I just think back by the time I get back to the 6.11, that the running back position is just going to be absolutely decimated. And while I am like pretty okay going true hero RB, I don't want to push it too much. Um, so I'll go Xavier Worthy here, but I think like going either Devonta Worthy, James. I mean, I was really thinking like JMO Worthy right there if I didn't go Swift, or there's one or two other wide receivers I like that are available. I won't sway the draft here, but we'll take Worthy for the upside and could be in line for a lot of very solid volume. At least while Rasheed Rice is not around. But we will see how things shake out. Already in the 5th round. All right, let's see. Just went against my plans already by taking Puka. Interesting start there. Puka, Nico, Hall, Harvey. Got some pretty decent upside to say the least. Yeah, T Mac was the other player I would have considered there over Worthy, or if I went double wide receiver, like T Mac, Worthy, JMO, Devonta sitting there, very solid. What's up, J Money? Do you like AJ Brown this year at the 2-3? Wait, do you like AJ Brown this year at the 2-3 turn? Do you think it's a good pick? And does the fact that he only had 30 receptions second half of all games last year concerning? I still like AJ Brown a lot. I've liked him all off season long, and I'm not really overly concerned. And I do think that the Eagles, I've said it all off season long, I do think that there is going to be positive regression in terms of them needing to throw the football this year. I do think that they are going to have to throw the football more than last year. I think that they will regress in terms of how often they run the football. I think they'll be perfectly fine, like for guys like Barkley and Hurts. But yeah, I think they're going to throw the football. I mean, you look at it, how few or how little they threw the football last year. I think ultimately they will throw more this year. But AJ Brown's just consistently at the end of the day undervalued. Happy Dad asking, how'd you get Saquon and CD? This is a keeper league, so sorry, I did put in the title for anyone tuning in, and we also went over all the keepers right at the beginning of the draft. So if you look at the draft board closely, like Jaden Daniels, you look at the draft board, the players that are already gone, who in the rounds we aren't even in yet, like Chase Brown in the 9th, B Tom in the 8th. There's quite a few. What's up, Happy Dad? Thanks for tuning in. But yeah, I'm good on AJ Brown. I think he's, but I will say the turn is a tough spot. I like Drake London a lot. I like Brian Thomas a lot. you know, some running backs in that area like Henry, A-Chain, C-Mac who sometimes fall out. I mean, it's just a very strong overall uh, tier of players at running back and wide receiver. I think AJ Brown is very solid. You're not going to be like I still almost prefer AJ Brown as a wide receiver too. If you're able to go Amon Ra or Neighbors and then get AJ Brown or Nico, then AJ Brown, I do maybe feel more comfortable. But overall, I'm still in on AJ Brown this year. Pollard, Ridley, or Dobbins in the flex week 1. I will say, so I'm looking a little bit ahead in terms of week 1, and some of the week 1 content is going to be coming out. Originally Thursday was my day, but it might start coming out Wednesday. But this is one of those games. We look at Pollard and Ridley, right? Look at the Titans week 1. They are on the road in Denver. Like, I don't think I'm starting Ridley week 1. And I really like Ridley this year, but I don't think I'm starting it. He's going to get Pat Surtain on the road. This is a really difficult team to travel to, Denver is not an easy place to play. And, Denver is a little bit softer against the run as opposed to the pass. I think Pollard's okay. But then on the flip side, right, Dobbins, who I do like, who I do think could see more carries in week 1 than Harvey, it's still a tougher matchup. The Titans were pretty solid against opposing running backs in fantasy last year. So it's not really a great matchup for anybody here. But I think based on pure volume, I'd probably still go Pollard. I think the safest floor is Pollard. The most upside lies with Dobbins. I think Pollard could easily stumble into the end zone and get you a stat line that you wouldn't be worried about at the end of the day. So I think it's okay to go Pollard, take the floor, but if you wanted some upside, I maybe go with Dobbins. But once again, I don't think that this is going to be one of those matchups that is going to be extremely pretty. Maybe, the other thing to remember too is that the Titans, as bad as they were last year, they were really good against opposing wide receivers when it came to fantasy points allowed. So let me actually now don't get me wrong, it's hard to look at defenses from last year because defenses obviously change, right? But last year, the Titans allowed the second fewest fantasy points to opposing wide receivers, which is I feel like people are not going to remember that. So for Ridley, for some of the overall potential for the Titans offense, for the Broncos offense in week 1, I don't particularly love it, and which makes me not particularly like this matchup overall because the rest of the matchups aren't great either. So, I anticipate that the Broncos are going to be very solid this year, but I'm also kind of anticipating going into this matchup, maybe things being a little bit halted in week 1, if that makes sense. So I'm a little bit not super bullish on this matchup, but I still think there's going to be players like Bo Nix and Cortland Sutton, Evan Ingram that be way too tough to sit. And I still think Dobbins and Harvey will be decent RB2s. I think Dobbins has some nice upside in this matchup. And, at the Titans, I think Pollard, safe floor. Ridley, I am not super excited about week 1. I will say that much. All right, this is a tough draft. I guess we should also talk a little bit about the Bo Nix, or not the Bo Nix, the Joe Mixon situation. He is now, we're getting an actual timeline here, expected to miss at least the first month of the season. And I'm going to go ahead and say that Joe Mixon is going to miss the first 6 weeks of the season because week 5, the Texans are on the road against Baltimore. Now, there's always the scenario where, like, maybe he is ready. That's going to be a big matchup on the road against one of the best teams in the NFL. Maybe if he's ready, he's good to go. He's out there, right? They want him in that matchup. But the Texans bye week is week 6, and this is something I always talk about, like when we're looking at this type of situation, right? I just have one of those feelings that if Mixon is not 100% and there's enough production out of both Nick Chubb and Woody Marks that they just let Joe Mixon rest through week 6. So listen, I'm not out on Mixon as like a later round pick that you can just throw on the pup and worry about it later. But I do think that this situation, I mean, it's basically at where most of us thought it was going to be at, but it's not looking entirely bullish if for some reason you already had felt bullish about it, but forgot to bring that up at the beginning of the stream. Chase, just realized I went Walker when I had JSN, not realizing they were on the same team. I mean, I truthfully don't feel like it's the end of the world by any stretch. You know, like I think Walker's gonna be super solid. Man, Zach Charbonnet went at the 5-12. It's like every day we draft these ADPs and the drafts just get more and more stiff. Yeah, so I'll go Dobbins and Addison there. This draft is pretty dry with the keepers and just the competitiveness of this draft already. So I mean Dobbins okay as a RB3 with how few options there are. And I know Addison's gonna miss the first 3 games. And I could have gone Jacoby Myers, but now I'm feeling like kind of weird about that situation. Might be an overreaction, but for me, for this draft, I mean, I'm basically just going to be taking the best skill position players I can get for the rest of the draft. And I'm just not used. And of course, this is a draft where it's still a decent draft to go late round quarterback. Like we're in the 7th round. And don't get me wrong, we have Burrow as a keeper, JD5 as a keeper. But other than that, just those top 3 of the elite tier gone. And we're about to be at the end of round 7. So, but hey, I wanted Josh Allen. I wanted the upside. I'm okay with it. What's up, J-Dubs? I was leaning Tootin as the best waiver ad. I was thinking he could be this year's Bucky, but I'll go with Sampson. I mean, the Jaguars running back is anybody's guess, you know? ETN could just be the RB1, you know? Bashaw Tootin could certainly carve out a role, but with what we've seen in terms of training camp preseason, it's ETN, Bigsby, Bashaw Tootin. That's the order. And I think sometimes, like when we have a previous season thing happen, like a Bucky Irving emerge, and then like obviously Liam Cohen, you know, now becomes goes from the Buccaneers as the offensive coordinator to the Jaguars as the head coach. Like people kind of get caught up in like trying to chase something that happened the previous season. We don't know that anybody's going to be Bucky Irving this year. You know, it's like it just doesn't. Nothing like that is ever guaranteed. You know what I mean? So, while it's kind of nice to think about that exact type of scenario playing out, I nobody knows that that's actually going to be a thing that happens, you know. Thoughts on how my draft went? What's up, J Fitness? We got a 12-team half PPR tight end premium league. Had my first pick in the 5th. Oh, it's this league. Sorry. By the way, guys, I will be making an announcement on Discord about this as well, because I know I think you DM'd me. I haven't even opened my DMs today. We are officially at that point where I cannot answer every Discord DM, sleeper DM, everything that's posted on the Discord. The best place to ask me fantasy questions will be on the live streams and in the YouTube comment sections as the YouTube videos start to roll out for week 1. So just remember that I'm not trying to ignore anybody, but I'm officially in the grind for the season for not just the catch fantasy football, but also for fantasy end game. And I just want you guys to remember that I always make an announcement at the beginning of the year. Like I'm not, it becomes literally physically, mentally impossible for me to answer every single question. But and for you to get the best fantasy feedback, the best places to be are going to be on the live streams and in the YouTube comment section. So if I have there, and it's not just J Fitness that this happened to in the past 24 hours, whatever, it's been other people. I know a lot of people were posting rosters on the Discord as well. And a lot of people are starting to draft. So I just want to remind you guys of that. All right. But I'm glad to see how this team turned out. Let's see here. Kept Kyler and Kyron, kind of got the balance there. So you've got Kyler, Kyron. Oh no, was this not the? Oh, this is a super flex. Okay. Kyler, Kyron, Swift, Pickens, Diggs, Kraft, Ridley in the flex. Not too bad knowing how many draft picks you did not have. So Jennings, and then your super flex is Fields. That turned out pretty good. All things considered, Stafford, A. Rich, you could also be a keeper. Eckler, Rashad White, uh, Donta, and Loveland. Not bad, honestly, considering that you had like no draft picks and you had to trade away a ton of them. I really don't think that this turned out too bad. How do you feel about it? Would be the bigger question, I think. You basically got to knock out all your wide receivers around what, like rounds 4 through 6, 5 through 7, something like that. Still got Pickens, Diggs, Ridley, Jennings. Not awful. Kyron, Swift. You can live with that. And Eckler, Rashad White could be a lot worse. And they got Donta Thornton on the bench. I like that. I don't know if I would have taken A Rich, but I also don't think it like kills you. I mean, I get trying to get it, but if you drafted Donta Thornton, like maybe that's a player to look at as somebody who could have been a potential keeper as well. Oh, what am I going to do in this draft? Sorry, I'll get back to the chat in just a second. Tough picks here. Yeah, this was definitely a good draft to wait at the quarterback position. I'm going to take Jawan Jennings, see what happens. It's a little risky, but at least the upside is there. But yeah, I like Fields as a second quarterback. I think it turned out okay. You had a lot of tough decisions around that draft. Jerry, happy birthday. I meant to say, let everybody happy birthdays in the chat for Jerry. Do it now. Jerry, how you feeling about that team over there? Quinton Junkins and Brian Robinson's getting a little scary. Jerry, thank you for drafting on your birthday. You didn't tell me till today. We were like, if you had brought it up, I could have changed the draft date potentially. But I'm sorry, we've drafted 2 years in a row on your birthday. Happy birthday, Jerry. What do you think of your team so far? Gibbs, Lamar, McBride gives you like a solid start. The dudes that really helped this team as your keeper. Metcalf, Flowers, safe enough floor. I think your RB2 right now is your biggest concern. See how it shakes out. At least you got Gibbs. What's up, Evil Gopher? It's that time of year. Drafted last night, not happy with your picks. Hey, waivers, trades, it's all there. I just think Steven panicked because Brayshaw Tootin there. Bayshaw Tootin. I just don't know if this player is going to come back to me. Looking at the draft board, I mean, there's a few players I like right here. I'm going to take Christian Kirk ahead of ADP. And with Addison being suspended, Jennings might end up on IR. Like, I really just took those picks for like down the stretch. Like, I still need wide receiver help. And if based on all the drafts we've ran already this week, I don't think Kirk will be back there for me. So I'll just take Kirk. But yeah, just so you guys know, I will be doing live streams every Saturday this year. And I will be getting on like in the afternoon. And I will be streaming as long as I can physically take it and mentally take it. So I will be running very long streams, like 3-hour streams, 4-hour streams on Saturdays this year. And that way, whatever you guys need, you guys just know that on Saturdays, and it is kind of nice. Like, it's always nice to be able to stream on like Tuesdays, I think, as well, right before waivers are going to go through and the week is over, right? Monday Night Football is over. We're resetting. There's a lot of like reaction on Tuesdays. We're getting ready for waivers. We're going into the next week. It's an important day to stream. Usually, last year I was streamed Tuesdays and Saturday nights, right? But I won't be able to stream Tuesday nights this year. My schedule is not going to allow it. So my schedule will allow for an earlier stream on Saturday this year. And I will be on for a long time on Saturday so that everybody can come through whatever you guys need. And sometimes it's almost a little bit better because it's the opposite. We're at the end of the week, day before kickoff, right? And we have a little bit of time to relax and not overreact to situations. So I think it'll be kind of a nice change of pace this year. And there is a chance that I will be able to stream some Saturday, or excuse me, some Tuesday. So I'm going to try, but I can't guarantee it on a weekly basis. So we'll see what happens. But I really think looking at the schedule for the year, Saturday is going to be the only day that I stream this year. But I'll have it set up so that everybody can come through and ask their questions for the week. And then we're going to have a lot of content coming out this year, just like we did last year. But I am super pumped for those long streams on Saturday. I think they're going to be a lot of fun. So just bear that in mind for the season. Drop a like on this glorious day for a guy and his phenomenal content. Thank you. Hit the like button, guys. Feels weird to have not drafted 2 players from the same team yet. Well, you just did. Hall and Allen. Yeah, see, the Christian Kirk pick was tough because it's like, I like Jaden Reed. Okay. I like Jaden Reed as pretty good value there, honestly. But Addison suspended. Jennings is shaky. Like, I don't want to take Jaden Reed coming off of his shaky situation. I like Braylon Allen a lot there. I like Tank Bigsby a lot there. I like Keenan Allen a lot there. I'll take the floor with Christian Kirk because I need the floor at wide receiver right now more than anything. I also like Marvin Mims, and I also like Javonte Williams as a RB4. So there's a lot of players I liked right there. Tough pickings. Once again, I never go quarterback early. This would have been a good draft to not go quarterback early. Bo Nix doesn't go until the 10th round. I mean, we haven't seen any QBs gone other than Lamar, Allen, Hurts, Nix in this draft, other than Burrow, who was a keeper, and JD5, who was a keeper. This was a really good draft to wait on quarterback. And instead, I risked it for the biscuit, went Allen. I mean, this team would look substantially better if I went Walker or Henderson there, got an additional wide receiver in the 4th, but I'm okay with it still. I mean, I could have gone Lamb, Barkley, Walker, Henderson, then any combination of Javonte, Devonta, Worthy, T-Mac at that 3-4 turn, or excuse me, 4-5 turn. And the way things are looking, still gotten Baker Mayfield in the 10th, which is I do think Allen is a huge step above, but I think Baker can easily be a top 5 quarterback again this year. But it's okay. All right, let's see. Dude, I literally like Jerry already has Lamar. I was like literally about to just go Baker here. There comes a point where the best player available is the best player available. Yeah, running backs are just disgusting here. Barkley and Swift gonna have to win me this season. Gosh, we only have 4 more picks in this draft. I think this was the toughest draft so far. I'll go Shaheed. I need the wide receiver depth more than anything over here. Feeling good about it. Move the draft board here. But the teams who sold last year and had tons of early round picks are going to be tough to beat. We'll see how I'm doing by weeks 5 to 8. And that's the whole thing. We always have a feeling after the draft, but the draft's just one small part of the equation ultimately. It's going to be a lot of swings of the pendulum as the year goes on. What's up, Carlos? I have Benson rostered and Ollie Gordon on waivers. I don't have Connor in the team. My other running backs are Hampton, Hindi, Caleb Johnson, Jordan Mason. Looking to add Benson or Gordon. I mean, I think it's personal preference. I will say that the situation looks more murky and right now immediately for Devon A-Chain. So, I mean, there is that. If you have the belief that A-Chain could truly miss some time, which there is definitely potential, but then there's also reports saying that he's facing no setbacks, so it's tough to say. I think that either way here, it's just kind of who you prefer in terms of the handcuff. I think I lean Ollie Gordon because A-Chain is actively dealing with an injury, but it's just tough to say. You're just it's gonna come down to Connor going down or Gordon, or excuse me, or A-Chain going down. So it's a tough call. But I guess I lean Ollie Gordon for right now, but maybe you feel better about Benson overall in the season. And then there has been murmurs that Benson's going to get some sort of volume while Connor's healthy, but we don't really know that. Trade JSN or Amarian for Rashee Rice? No, I would not do that. I would not do that. We just don't know what's going on with the Rashee Rice situation. And honestly, I like a Rashee Rice as much as the next guy, but I'm pretty high on JSN. The situation with JSN is not murky in any way, shape, or form. I just keep JSN and Amarian. I would not do this. Yeah, I agree. I would not do this. JFit, happy overall. Gives me flexibility to see if I can hang or trade away. Yeah, that's hard. I mean, that's like in between a keeper and dynasty league, the way that's set up. It's tough. Yeah, I would feel pretty good about having Amarian and JSN. But I am higher on JSN than consensus. But no reason to not trust Amarian, for sure. Can tell nobody's going to win this year. Nobody picked Justin Tucker first round. I do think that the Ravens rookie kicker is going to be an absolute stud. What's up, your boy? Funny how after preseason ends, everyone wants to sign. Yeah, I know. Well, I mean, there also comes a point we're 9 days away from kickoff. It's got to get done, right? Andrew, your pick was wrong. What? Oh, Tesla? Yeah, can't change picks. But honestly, Tesla was probably going to get drafted. I mean, he's like one of the top added players off waivers, so I don't think it kills your team or anything. In a different league, Dynasty PPR, I have Connor, Benson, JCM, and Chuba. My question to you is, do I drop Benson for either Charbs, Charbonnet, Ollie Gordon, or stay with Benson? I would roster Charbonnet right away. I would drop Benson for Charbonnet for sure. I think Charbonnet is a better handcuff with better standalone value. So I wouldn't drop Benson. I mean, I think you could drop him for Ollie Gordon like we talked about, but I would drop him for Charbonnet right away. Feel disgusting for taking Knicks over Baker, but gotta get the Knicks and Harvey stack. That's fair. I mean, as much as I really like Baker, and I still have Baker confidently as like my QB5, right? Allen, Lamar, Hurts, JD5, Burrow, so QB6. If you want to go Knicks, I have Knicks relatively high as well. Probably right next to Baker, so I don't think I have an issue with it. All right, what an interesting team I've thrown together tonight. This was a tough draft. This was the toughest draft so far. I mean, I know the keepers were really strong in this league, but this was the toughest draft so far. Drafts are just getting more and more intense. What are your thoughts on Cooper Kupp? He's really been written off this year. I do agree. We talked about this last night. He's just been completely written off. I mean, Andrew takes him at the 8-1. But I feel like it's almost high for Kupp at times, but I guess it's about appropriate based on ADP. Yeah, listen. The recency bias with Kupp, I do think is a real thing because he was so bad in the fantasy playoffs. 0 points, 5.4, 3.9, weeks 15 through 17. Then week 13, he was awful, 4.7. But week 14, he had 20 points. Like, if you take the last 3 weeks away, he only gave you single digits when healthy twice. And he had 15 or more points in every other game. He had 20 or more points in every other game except for 2. You know? I mean, it's obviously a different situation this year. But, like, the interesting thing is he was the wide receiver 40. I talked about this last night. Wide receiver 40 going into last year. And this year, he's the wide receiver 38. Technically performed better by 2 spots. The stats are almost exactly the same, but he's going way further back in ADP. Now, also, he's going from Matthew Stafford to Sam Darnold, different system, a run first system with Clint Kubiak. But still, like he played 12 games last year. He played 12 games 2023. The stats are almost identical. And he actually was better last year than the previous year statistically when it comes to fantasy points scored. So, I I do kind of agree that he's been essentially written off here. So, like, am I super high on him? No. But would I take some shots on him? Sure. But with that being said, I haven't drafted a lot of him this year. It just hasn't happened. You guys know this is not a catch league number 1 without me having Rashad White. I don't play in keeper leagues, so can you explain how it works? There's 2 ways it can work. So, do y'all pick what spot is your keeper? No, well, kind of. Like, so last year I drafted Saquon Barkley in the 2nd round. So this year, after the draft order is randomized, I can give up my 2nd round pick for Saquon Barkley. Last year, Steven drafted Jaden Daniels in the 11th, so he can give up his 11th round selection for Jaden Daniels. Last year, Spencer drafted Jamar Chase in the 1st. He's drafting from the 1-5, and he still kept Jamar Chase, gave up his 1st rounder this year, right? last year senior Cinnabon drafted Nico Collins in the second, gave up his second rounder this year for Nico Collins, so on and so forth. J-Dubs drafted Chase Brown in the 9th last year, so he gave up his 9th round pick for Chase Brown. But you can do it a couple of different ways. Well, that I would say that I think that's the most efficient way to do it. Oh, I don't know who I want with this pick. Man, you guys really ate up the tight end position. I'll go Jonnu Smith. Why did so many guys take 2 tight ends? Why? I was going to take an injured player and put them on PUP, but I just don't want to deal with it once they get taken off the PUP list. I really don't. This was a tough draft. The other way you can do keeper leagues is sometimes it's just year to year. People can keep 1 player or 2 players. I've seen people keep 3 players in leagues, but you don't lose a draft pick. They're just taken out of the draft. So, like, if you drafted Chase Brown, Brian Thomas, and let's say you drafted those 2 guys last year, you could select them as your keepers, and then they're just out of the draft pool, but they're guaranteed on your team. Does that make sense? Jerry has 3 quarterbacks now. Do you get a chance to mock with the keepers? You can. Yeah, it's not that hard. On Sleeper, it's not that hard. You can just go through, basically there's a deadline in our league to set the keepers. Like, you have to choose your keeper by a certain date. And I usually, like, if your keeper gets injured, you're allowed to change it. But, we try to have it set so everybody knows. And then on Sleeper, when you go into the mock draft room, before you start the mock draft, you can set players on the board. So you just have to look at the draft board and adjust it. You're welcome, Cinnabon. We did that for you. Mooney is yours. Your thoughts on Jawan Jennings? I drafted him, but not liking the news as of late. Dynasty got Burden, Higgins, Kyle Williams, Downs, Mims, and Kirk. This must be one of those dynasty leagues where there's not a lot of bench spots. Those do exist. I like Christian Kirk a lot, and I like Marvin Mims. I like Kirk more than Higgins immediately for the near future, but I'm still surprised Higgins is not rostered. How many bench spots do you have in this league? Of Charbonnet, Burden. I'm also surprised Burden's not rostered. And Downs, I think I would still add Josh Downs here, but he is banged up too. I mean, I think it's perfectly okay to keep Jawan Jennings. This tier is very close. And like, the spectrum's much wider here with it being dynasty. So it's kind of your pick, whoever you like best. Might depend on your roster and kind of what type of situation you're in terms of win now versus not being win now. But I mean, yeah, I like a lot of these players available. But I think that Jennings is still pretty close. I don't think like there's a huge difference here. I'd probably hold on to Jennings, but it is close. Yeah, it's pretty easy, Brandon, to get it set up, man. Good luck in the draft. This team blows. Choked on the keeper. This was a tough draft. The first couple rounds felt pretty good, though. doing roster reviews, you know it, boy. You know it, man. We'll go through each and every team. 15 bench spots. Okay, I mean, that's a lot. But you have to roster 2 QBs, 4 RBs, 5 wide receivers, tight ends, 2 kickers, 2 defense. Okay, interesting. All right, Najee's the final pick. All right, waivers will be open for 24 hours, or I usually say till midnight. So yeah, go make your moves right now. Oh, I also forgot that this is don't forget, this is a keeper league for next year too, guys. I mean, it's too late for that announcement, I guess. But yeah. And I mean, like, you can have a good keeper no matter what your strat is, you know. You don't always have to draft Woody Marks in the 13th and drop him like Senior Cinnabon just did, you know. But yeah, go make your moves, guys. I'll lock waivers at midnight. I'm okay with this team. This is a tough draft, and I never go QB early. And whenever I do, everyone else goes QB late. Knicks and Baker in the 10th. Mahomes in the 11th. All right, let's break it down. Let's start with Steven's team. Shane got offered Hollywood Brown for Jack Besh in an 18-man best bench wide receivers Kyle Williams. Dude, I'm really worried about Jack Besh. I don't know if Hollywood Brown's ever going to play more than like 6 games. So I think it comes down to personal preference. If you have a taxi squad type situation where you can just throw Jack Besh on the taxi squad, I think that's fine. If you're like I'll say this, if you're a very like contending team, then I'd probably just take Hollywood Brown. I don't think Jack Besh is going to do much this year. Like he's really moved back on the roster, even if Jacoby Myers leaves. But once again, if Jacoby Myers does get traded, then I guess that is good news for Jack Besh, technically. But if you're contending, I guess I take Hollywood Brown. But I once again, I just don't know if I really worry about Hollywood Brown's injury consistency. All right, Stevens' keeper was JD5 in the 11th. He ends up drafting Hawkinson in the 6th, which is fine. His first 5 picks were very good. So his running back room is Bijan, Hampton, Tootin, Ramondre, Roshan Johnson. So the bench running backs, I think, kind of suck, but he's got Higgins, Devonta, Javonte, Olave, Pittman, Tillman. Wide receiver room is good. The roster's fine. His double hero RB can play waivers at the running back position. And just don't forget, we had a lot of really solid keepers. So running backs and wide receivers were thinner in this draft. So some of these later round values were just tougher to come by. But he'll be starting JD5, Hawkinson, Bijan, Hampton, Higgins, Devonta, Javonte, and Olave, which is still a pretty solid lineup. And I think Pittman, maybe even Tillman are pretty good flex options. So still a good team for Steven. A lot of value in the first 5 picks. We'll save my team for last. Jerry, happy birthday once again. Keeper was a Dunze in the 7th. Goes 2 QB, 3 QB. Last pick, he's already dropped Jared Goff. Was an auto pick. So Baker and Lamar. I don't know why you just picked up Darren Waller, though. You don't need another tight end or quarterback on this team. So Lamar, Baker, McBride, Kincaid, you are stacked there. Gibbs, Judkins, Brian Robinson, Javonte. I mean, this is a true hero RB team with Gibbs being at the 1-3 here. Metcalf, Flowers, Adunze, Trey Harris. I mean, this is a team that is going to have some issues. I would get rid of Darren Waller. I would not be rostering Darren Waller. I'd be looking at a wide receiver or running back. But anyways, you're starting Lamar, McBride, Gibbs. Then like the RB2 is kind of shaky. Judkins and B-Rob, I don't really know if these are going to be guys you can trust to start the season in any way, unless C-Mac gets hurt. So I think Javonte is the RB2 on this team. The Metcalf, Flowers, Adunze, and then you got to figure out the next flex. Is it Dalton Kincaid? You'll have to figure it out. So see how it shakes out. We do have a lot of upside at quarterback and tight end at least. All right, Chase is at the 1-4. T-Law ends up being his final pick. Only QB. Andrews and Ertz is fine. JJ, MH, Pickens, JSN is your keeper in the 7th. Downs, Ayuk. I mean, wide receivers look pretty solid. Plus, so you've already put Brandon Ayuk on IR and picked up JJ McCarthy, which I think was a solid move. So you really have McCarthy and T-Law at quarterback. Walker, Pollard, ETN, Benson, not the worst. Oops, sorry, guys. So let's see. You're starting T-Law or McCarthy, Andrews or Ertz, probably Andrews. Walker, Pollard, JJ, MH, Pickens, JSN. I mean, it's a solid starting lineup for sure. For sure. Good team. Spinny. What's up, Spence? Let's see here. Mahomes in the 11th. The quarterback value in this draft was just stupid. Ingram and Pitts is good enough. Jamar was your keeper. Wilson, T-Mac, Godwin, Mims, Higgins. Pretty good wide receiver value. And you have thrown Godwin on the PUP, which you got to be careful about. He's expected to be activated from the PUP list. And you've picked up Amari Cooper for the time being. Cook, Monty Tracy, Ray Davis. Not a bad running back room, honestly. It's a pretty solid team, Spence. Pretty good value throughout this draft. So you have Mahomes, Ingram, Cook, Monty, Chase, Wilson, T-Mac. You just got to figure out the flex. Tracy, Marvin Mims, maybe Amari Cooper, maybe Kyle Pitts. Not a bad squad, Spence. Be a good league. All right, Cats kept Burrow in the 10th. Burrow's for sale, everybody, according to Cats. Tyler Warren at tight end. Hendo, Pacheco, Scattaboo, Sampson, and Miles Sanders drafted in this draft. I do like the Dylan Sampson pick a lot. Neighbors, A.J. Brown is still a very solid start. Travis Hunter, Golden, Debo, nice upside. Darius Slayton, why not, right? So Burrow, Warren, Hendo, Pacheco, Neighbors, A.J. Brown, Hunter, Matthew Golden is pretty solid. Decent enough bench. Pretty good team, Cats. All right, Michael. Michael didn't really snipe me tonight, so I'm happy about that. Ladd was your keeper in the 8th. Fields and Love for going 0 quarterback, perfectly fine. And Njoku, Ferguson. A lot of you guys took 2 tight ends in this draft. I guess there was just good tight end value at the end of the draft, which screwed me over, but it's okay, guys. So be happy. If you guys don't feel good about your team, at least you guys hurt me at tight end tonight. Kyron, Kamara, Caleb Johnson, Chubb. Kind of like a double hero RB, essentially. Amon-Ra, DJ Moore, Rashid Rice. Man, I feel like you're drafting Rashid Rice in every draft, which is fine. Myers, Ladd. I mean, honestly, knowing that Ladd was your keeper, I don't really dislike the Rashid Rice pick for you. But let's see. You're starting one of the 2 QBs, one of the 2 tight ends. You're solid there no matter what. Kyron, Kamara, Amon-Ra, DJ Moore, Ladd, Rice. Yeah, to start the season, I think Rice will be there. And then Myers feels shaky, but he honestly was a good value for you in the 7th. I mean, even if he gets traded, he can still end up being very productive. I still feel like the best situation for him, obviously, is to stay with the Raiders, but ultimately, I don't think it was a good value pick for you for sure. So we'll see what happens. All right, let's see. Shane, the keeper was B. Tom in the 8th. So we got Hurts and Kraft, very solid. Good value on both. I mean, Kraft, that's about where Kraft usually goes, looking at the tier tight end. And I'm big on Tucker Kraft this year. Hurts in the 5th, beautiful. C-Mac, JT, Connor, Warren, Mixon. So Mixon is going to head to IR. And doesn't look like you've picked anybody up yet, but you can make that move when you want to. Adams, B. Tom, Reed, Robinson, Bateman, Palmer. So you're starting Hurts and Kraft, C-Mac, JT, Adams, B. Tom, flexing Connor, flexing Warren, maybe flexing Jaden Reed. Robinson and Bateman are flexible. So solid team. You can mix in whenever he's back. Yeah, only team to go 3 running backs. I don't hate it. All right, Cinnabone. How did it work out for you? When Nico is your keeper in the second. So you got Nix as a great value in the 10th. Caleb Williams, your boy, in the 11th. Laporta in the 7th. Hall, Harvey, Eckler, Braylon Allen, Woody Marks. I mean, good late round running backs. I really was eyeing Eckler and Braylon Allen in this draft, but just didn't work out for me. Puka, Nico, Ridley, Pearsall, another. I was really hoping Pearsall or Golden, or for some reason Ibuka would fall out to the 6'11. Good pick for you there. And you get your boy, Moody. You got all your guys in this draft. So you're starting at Nix, Laporta, Hall, Harvey, Puka, Nico, Ridley, Pearsall, with a good bench. Solid team. All right, made for TV. Ends up having to keep Jordan Mason in the 13th. See how it worked out for you. Drake May at QB, Kittle and Kelsey at tight end, Genty, Jacobs, Bigsby, Ollie Gordon, Jordan Mason. Knocked out all your wide receivers between the 4th and the 10th. So Tyreek Hill, Jerry Judy, Emeka Buka, Keon Coleman, Luther Burden. So you're starting May, Kittle, Genty, Jacobs, Hill, Judy, Igbuka, and then you just got to kind of figure out that flex. Could be a number of these different players here. Probably Jordan Mason to the rescue, right? Pretty solid, though. All right, J-Dubs, Kipt, Chase Brown in the 9th. I mean, arguably the best keeper of this whole draft. So you're starting Dak or Kyler at quarterback. You got Colston Loveland at tight end. You're good there. This was just a good draft to wait at quarterback, and it worked out for you. Henry, A-Chain, Aaron Jones, JCM, Chase Brown is a solid running back room. Evans, McLaurin, Waddle, Shakir, and Alec A.O. Manor is keeper league. So what, you dropped A.O. Manor, I think? No, you still got him. That's fine. So starting one of the 2 quarterbacks, Loveland, Henry, A-Chain, Evans, McLaurin. And really your flex is pretty, I mean, you're going to be starting Chase Brown. Then flexing, I'm going to guess you're going to flex Waddle. But Aaron Jones, JCM, Shakir, you got good options. This is a very solid team. And I like that you weren't afraid to start by drafting 2 running backs, even though you already had Chase Brown. Solid team. A little scary, actually. All right, Andrea, how to work out here? You kept Bowers in the 7th. So you got Purdy and Bowers. Good there. Bucky, Chuba, Charbonnet. I like your confidence in Charbonnet. But I also wanted to draft some Charbonnet. And you made that more difficult, which is okay. And you got Najee. Throw Najee on the pup. And pick someone else up. Lundo, Sutton, Diggs, Cooper Kupp, Keenan Allen, Isaac Tesla, and Xavier Legette at receiver. Not too bad. Going to be starting Purdy, Bowers, Bucky, Chuba, Lundo, Sutton, Diggs, Kupp, or Keenan Allen. With a good enough bench? I think the Tesla pick was an accident, right? You said, but that's okay. I maybe would have gone. Like, I'm just not high on Legette, but I feel like you have been, which is okay. Maybe other receivers I like in that area more, but it's your 12th rounder. It's fine. Good team. All right. Yeah. Okay. Let's roast my team. I wait on tight end this whole draft, but I go quarterback early. Never go QB early, and I still only got the second QB off the board, which is Josh Allen. And I think Josh Allen's the only QB I'll really reach that high on. Lamar probably fine, but anyways, I got Josh Allen at QB. Johnny Smith is my tight end right now. I will play waivers at tight end. Barkley, Swift, Dobbins, my only running backs. I got Rashad White too. Sorry. It's pretty shaky at running back, but I think we can make it through. And then we just filled out the rest of this roster with receivers. Lamb, Worthy, Addison, Jennings, Kirk, Shaheed, Donta Thornton. So starting Josh Allen and Johnny Smith, Barkley and Swift, Lamb, Worthy. I don't want to say I'm starting Jennings. I know I'm not starting Addison, but maybe Jennings and Kirk. If not, Kirk, Dobbins, Kirk, Shaheed. I mean, the nice thing here is like there's a number of potential flex options when healthy or not suspended. So we'll see how it shakes out, but I think it'll be fun. It's gonna be a good competitive league though, and I think really the way this draft worked out, wide receiver was just the best value for me throughout the draft. Like I could have, there's plenty of, excuse me, I was in position to draft plenty more running backs later, but it's like I'll just take the floor with the wide receivers, guys that could be in the flex. I mean, just at the end of the day, this is a double flex format, so it's full PPR. I always try to be kind of, have that depth at wide receiver and have a great quarterback, great RB1. I like Swift a lot this year. You guys know that. I'll play waivers at tight end. Still have a great wide receiver one. It is the toughest choice for me was like Worthy, Javante or Javante was gone. So Worthy, T Mac, some of the other names in that tier. And then also like really, it was also tough because when I went Swift, I did not think Steven was going to go running back here at all, having Bijan and Hampton already. But I also didn't want to risk it because I needed the RB2, knowing that I was probably going to go for a later round wide receiver. So I was like, I'll push it because there's enough wide receivers here I like. But that was also a tough choice of like, do I go Javante Worthy at the 4-11, or do I go running back? Or do I go double wide receiver? But I knew by the time I got to the 6-11, running backs were just going to be wiped. I didn't want to push it too much. Still wanted a solid RB2. So I will say, if I went this draft, Lamb, Barkley as my keeper, then Kenneth Walker or Henderson at the 3-2, then got Devonta Smith or Javante, and then Worthy, like maybe this draft looks a little bit better. But I still think the draft is perfectly fine, So there you guys have it. League One, congrats. Was a good, that was the toughest draft so far. So congrats to you guys. League One, always a blast. J-Dub's team turned out very good. In reality, I wanted Pop with that final pick, but got to take the Texans RB1. There you go. Don't forget, we're running it back next year. Keepers will be live next year. What spot in the wide receiver room do you think Besh is after the Cooper trade? I don't think he's moved at all for me. First of all, we don't know for sure if Myers is actually going to get traded. So there's that. And I still think that there's a perfectly fine world like where the Raiders can exist with Myers, Cooper, Thornton, and Trey Tucker. And so that would put Jack Besh as the wide receiver 5. If Myers gets traded, I think he's a wide receiver 4. When we look at training camp and the preseason, it's been Trey Tucker, Jacoby Myers, and Donta Thornton. Those have been the guys on the field. It has not been Jack Besh. And so I don't know. It just kind of depends here. I just don't really know. Like, it's not like Amari Cooper was uber productive last year. I mean, when he was with the Browns, he had some okay games, and I forgot what week he got traded. Was it this game? He had that one. No, because he scored a touchdown. So week 7 against Tennessee, got traded around there. I don't remember because it was such a pitiful end of the season with Buffalo for him. So I don't think like you're going to pick him up and he's going to be what he was even 2 years ago with the Browns when it comes to Cooper. And for Besh, I have no hope. I mean, like if you have him in Dynasty, it's not like you just drop him, but I don't know if he's going to be a huge factor this year. I think Donta Thornton replaced that. Draft of the night, I don't know. There's some really good teams. I did really like your team, J-Dubs. I feel like it worked out very well for you, especially if Colson Loveland has a nice year. I do think Steven had a good draft, but then it just kind of like fell apart at the end. But his starting lineup is very solid. There are quite a few good teams. Still think Cats had a good team at the end of the day. Spencer ended up with a pretty nice team. I feel like this is bait because it might honestly be your team, J-Dubs. I think, but I don't know. Shane had a pretty decent team too. Senior Cinnabon had a good team if those running backs hit too. It was a tough draft overall. Yeah, there's always trade bait, Yeah, Bill got taken. Redraft league, are you trading Sutton and Pollard for Puka? It really depends. You have Kyron, JT Pollard, ETN. Yeah, I'll take Puka there. Still have JT, Kyron. I mean, Jamar, Sutton, DJ Moore, Puka, Keenan. I mean, you don't have a bad wide receiver room. And I like Cortland Sutton a lot. A lot. I mean, I think Pollard's going to be super solid this year. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I do agree. Like, maybe we're missing an immense amount of upside here, but I think Ibuka as a wide receiver 4 is great. Keenan and Bateman are really good wide receivers 5 and 6. DJ Moore just kind of been written off, it feels like, but he's still solid here as a flex option. I don't know. I think it's okay to do the trade, but your running back depth does get hurt kind of substantially here. Something happens to JT or Kyron, and then like you're rolling with ETN. Pollard is a good RB3, so it's tough, but the upside with Puka is probably worth it. Your wide receivers are good enough that you can risk losing Sutton. Yeah, team turned out good, Cinnabon. Even Eckler and Allen, I think, are good behind Harvey, Just can only imagine starting JT Carr and Jamar Puka, then like Puka. Yeah, I don't disagree. I think if you like it, 100% go for it. Just understand you're going to be playing waivers at running back for a bit. You know what I mean? If something is to happen. And I mean, I don't know, maybe ETN steps into that starting role right away. So keep that in mind. All right, boys and girls, there you have it. League 1 in the books. Dunzo. All right, I may or may not be on tomorrow night. We have the auction league. I know I won't be streaming the auction league. I just never stream it. It takes way too long. But I might be on for like a short fantasy Q&A or underdog draft tomorrow. So just keep posted. And our week 1 content is going to start dropping throughout the course of this week. So I'm super stoked. Going to have a trade video come out for you guys. Waiver edition video come out for you guys. Must start defenses. Those all start coming out Wednesday. Looks like is what I've got on the schedule. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Then start set videos will start going live on Saturday. We'll start with wide receivers, every matchup, every player, every game. Then running backs on Sunday, quarterbacks, tight ends on Monday. Pete's going to have his kicker video on Tuesday. The catch league number 4. Let me backtrack. That draft is Saturday night at 9. We'll be streaming that. Pete is in that league. He'll be live with me. Sunday night, I'll be rolling with another fantasy Q&A / underdog stream. Then moving back, QB tight end Monday, kicker rankings Tuesday. Wednesday, we'll have a video come out for you guys. And then Thursday, we'll have a video out. Friday, last minute waiver wire additions. Saturday, I'll be doing a long Q&A stream before Sunday's games on week 1. Then Sunday morning, I'll have a video pop out for you guys as well. So a fully locked in, loaded schedule for everybody before we roll into our regular schedule for week 2 onward all the way through week 17. In case you guys are wondering, and this is basically exactly what we did last year, but Sunday morning, I always put out a video Sunday morning. It's like 5 things you need to know before kickoff. Sometimes it's 6 things or 8 things or 10 things. It just depends on what's going on. There'll be a panic video out Sunday night. And then right after Sunday Night Football ends, we will have our waiver wire video drop. I get that out pretty quickly. The defense video drops very early on Monday. Then we have our start set. Wide receivers go out right after Monday Night Football. Start set running backs will go out early Tuesday morning. Start, sit, quarterbacks, tight ends goes out early Wednesday morning. Then Pete's kicker ranking video goes out on Wednesdays. Then we have a video that goes out right after Thursday night football. That'll be our buy low video. We'll have players that are going to go nuclear go out Thursday morning. Yeah, early Thursday morning. Sorry, I missed that one. Friday, we'll have basically the buy low video counts as Friday's video because it goes out Thursday night. And then Friday night / Saturday morning, it's just because I released the video so late, or you can look at it so early. Friday night will be our last minute waiver video, and then I'll do a long stream on Saturday. So that will be your guys' schedule. I don't know if that made any sense the way I just laid it out, but that'll be the schedule for the whole season. So make sure you guys are staying posted. We're going to have a lot coming out. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be a great season. So congrats again to league number 1. Definitely was a competitive draft. All right. I will talk to you guys soon. Everyone have a great rest of the week. And with that, I'll say thank you guys so much for watching and or listening. And remember, you saw it here on the catch. And peace.